悪霊退散.
So Harada is on a little bit of a rampage, giving us the goods. He's giving us the tweets. He's talking about Tekken characters and their lore, and he's sharing a lot of good information. I will probably make a bunch of videos trying to break down every aspect of these, and I'm going to dedicate a full video to the one that we're talking about right now, Ogre, because Ogre is a character that a lot of people love. A lot of people want him to return. He played a role in Tekken 8. A lot of people feel like he should be DLC for that reason. He is an iconic character for the whole franchise, but then also when you talk about his fighting style being a collection of fighters, I think there's many different cool ways you could go. You could pay homage to characters who are gone and won't return in Tekken 8 and give him fighting styles from those moves, or you can take him down a different route and just give him a collection of everything and just make it a little bit more Ogre. But with what Harada said today, it's kind of flipping the whole conversation on its head, because a lot of people was thinking like, is he dead? Is he alive? You know, Jun Kazama led him to that cave and hit him with a little bit of spirit magic, and then he returned later on, and then Jin hit him with some real fire, and that's allegedly killed him, right? And you know, Ogre was seemingly dead and gone to never return. He did appear in that Tekken mobile game with Revenant. Revenant was trying to resurrect him or was trying to summon him, something of that nature. But that was the last we heard of him. And by the way, Tekken Mobile was not canonical, non-canonical. But looking at what Harada said, it starts with this tweet. Please tell me about Ogre. What is he? What is his goal? Who created him? Is he actually dead? There's a lot of questions here, and Harada doesn't tackle all of these, so I will just give the little bit of knowledge that I do know about Ogre. So when you say what is he, it is rumored and speculated that he is a alien, but that's not confirmed. His goal, this is something that I wonder as well, because he was collecting the spirits of all of these fighters for what? What was his next goal if he got Jin's energy? Was there more to get, or was he going to go like Super Saiyan 3, you know, Ultra Instinct 2, Kaioken Ogre? Like, what was his next plan? And then who created him? This is the part that's going to get tricky when we look at Harada's tweet. When people see the term God of Fighting, we picture him as like a literal god, but Tekken doesn't portray it that way. But then now the part here, is he actually dead? Now this is where we read Harada's tweet, where he says, in the era of Tekken 3, the official setting materials included in strategy guide stated that Ogre is not a singular being. Instead, there is at least one Ogre in every continent. So this just totally blew open the lore of Ogre. Now, if we go back and think about what happened with Tekken 3, you have one Ogre out of many targeting all of these fighters. He killed King, he targeted Baek-Dusan, he targeted many others, he targeted Jin, and he targeted Jun. We don't know why he did that, but we do know that basically Jin killed him. Why did he target Jin? And then why did the other ogres not target Jin? And also, why did they not try to get revenge or retaliate for what happened to Ogre? Are all of these ogres linked in any way? Are they all working together with the same plan? Are they all on the same team? Are they enemies? Do they look alike? There's so many questions that arise with this one tweet from Harada, and it's like, first off, another question is like, where are they? Tekken 3 spans kind of a lot of time, right? When Jin first showed up, he was like 15. That's when Ogre first attacked, and then he fights Ogre again when he's 19. So over that course of 4 years, that's when Ogre's doing his thing, right? But then from Tekken 3 to Tekken 8, I believe Jin is 21, 22. Someone fact check me on that. But the point is, the Tekken 3 Ogre died, and we haven't heard, seen, or read about any ogres prior. And then you have to think about, how was this ogre even discovered? And then now my mind is thinking back to Heihachi waking him up. Heihachi went to the Aztecs and awoken Ogre. He messed with his tomb. So maybe what Harada is saying here is that there's many other tombs all over the Tekken world, and it's just waiting for some Heihachi to wake them up. And then once they're awoken, then they will go on this quest like we've seen Tekken 3 Ogre. Now, the fact that Tekken 3 Ogre woke up and went on his own and didn't wake up the other ogres leads me to believe that maybe they aren't working together and maybe they're enemies, because something you have to remember about Ogre as well is that they are smart. People think of Ogre as like a rampaging beast, but that's not the case. He should know about the other ogres, and the fact that he didn't go and wake them up is kind of crazy, because if you were to then speculate on what even put them in the tombs, you have to go back even further to the era of Azazel. One thing we know about Azazel is that he existed for thousands of years. We also know that Mokujin existed for thousands of years. We don't know who created him. We don't know the origins of him. I will note that Mokujin's eyes glow the same color as Ancient Ogre. Does that connect it to? I don't know. But the point that I was going to make is that with the character Mokujin being from the same era as Azazel, Ancient Ogre, Claudio's organization, Zafina's organization, all of that stuff existed thousands of years ago, as well as Themyscirus. We know that now too. But the point is that Mokujin, when he senses one of these gods awake, Azazel, Ogre, he immediately activates and he goes and hunts them down. Now, before he can reach them, some other entity destroys them, like Jin Kazama, whoever. So the idea is, when you went back 1,000 years ago, who created Mokujin? Was he originally trying to capture all of these ancient gods and seal them away? Did he receive help from Claudio and Zafina? Because, you know, that's also their goal, is to seal all of them away. With this tweet from Harada, that older era sounds so chaotic. Imagine Azazel roaming free, all of these different ancient ogres roaming free, and then you have the creation of Claudio's organization, the creation of Zafina's organization, the creation of Mokujin himself, and then they one by one go around rounding up all of these different gods and sealing them away in temples and tombs and pyramids, right? Because Azazel is in a Egyptian pyramid, and then Ogre is in an Aztec, or I think it's Mayan pyramid. So this is really interesting, and it really can lead in so many different directions, which is why players are wondering and asking, will Ogre return in Tekken 8, but also in future games? Will we see these more ogres show up and, you know, want revenge, try to continue their plan? You do have that scene in Tekken Tag Tournament 2 as well. That's non-canon, but still it's a glimpse into what could happen. And you basically have one ogre summoning all of the different ogres, and from the looks of it, it looks like different realities, different universes, like there's multiverse type of behavior going on, and Ogre is summoning all of the different ogres from the different multiverse in what we can assume to get revenge for what Jin did, right? But that's only speculation. We really don't know what that ending means because the developers never explained it. If we just tried to put the pieces together, that's what it looks like. It looks like Ogre is summoning backup from the multiverse. But if that's not what's happening, and if the Ogre is summoning the ogres from the other, you know, parts of the world, that's also something different, because that would then say that they are working together. It's just so many questions here. Tweets like this from Harada is so interesting because you could theorize and you could try to figure it out, and you could try to speculate on it for so long and try to really understand what's happening. Why Ogre didn't summon the other ogres when he lost to Jun Kazama and then 4 years later went to go fight Jin? If he showed up with Ogre backup, that would have been crazy. What was he doing that 4 years? This was always the question. What was Ogre doing from the time Jin was 15 to the time that Jin was 19? But then now that we know that there's more ogres and he lost the initial fight, why didn't he summon the other ogres? I think it would be cool to one day get a glimpse at all of the ogres and have them trying to gain some type of vengeance for what Jin did. That would be a new storyline, a fresh storyline, and it also would be a continuation storyline for one of the greatest Tekkens ever made.